Peace and love, peace and love, peace and blessings. This is your brother Yosef, and I am back with another video, family. Back with more information to help you guys along your journey, all right? And today, family, I want to focus strictly on the mystical path. Now, you guys know in the past we talked about the mystical path versus the magical path. I'm talking about these concepts and these ideas and this information because you guys need to understand where you're going in spirituality. Do you know, I would say that the vast majority of the spiritual community has no clue where they're going. They're just trying to be positive. They're just trying to be positive. And there's nothing wrong with being positive. But what I want for you is to evolve. I want for this to be your last life on earth. That's why I give you guys this information so you can start brainstorming, start thinking, and start choosing something in your path that can lead you down a path, which is very important. And we're going to talk about today. You need to be led down a path of enlightenment that can lead you towards enlightenment, right? And there's a lot of paths that can get you there, right? So today, family, we're going to talk about the mystical path of Tantra and yoga. Okay, Tantra and yoga. And this is a topic, family, that, well, I've talked about yoga before. I've never really talked about Tantra a lot, right? So we're going to talk about that today, okay? So you guys can get a good understanding about what this thing really is. Some of you guys, everybody pretty much know what yoga is, but Tantra is that one thing that nobody ever really talks about like that, okay? So we're going to talk about that today, family, all right? Now, first thing I want to say is, family, I do have a class coming up called the Buddha Force. The stuff I'm talking about in this video today, I'm going to go in a lot deeper in the Buddha Force lecture. I'm going to do a lecture called the Buddha Force, April 8th. You can get your tickets. The link will be below. All right. Also, if you guys want more Brother Yosef, you guys could check me out on Patreon. Okay. Check out my Patreon. Also, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been giving me the feedback on the books. The book I put out, The Way of Radiance. A lot of you guys have read the book, reading the book, learning from it, and a lot of people are enjoying it. So I want to say thank you for buying the book, purchasing the book. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying the book, The Way of Radiance. All right. So thank you guys very much on that. So first of all, I want you guys to understand why a spiritual path matters. Okay. In the spiritual community, family, on all sides, you have people who are just going with the flow. Okay, they think that being positive is spirituality. That's a part of being spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Actually, being negative is a part of being spiritual too. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, I want you guys to understand. It's okay in the beginning to walk around aimlessly in spirituality and just trying to figure things out. I understand that. But if you're about 5 years in or more on spirituality, right, and that's being nice, I really say 2 years, 2 to 3 years, you got to kind of start choosing a path to follow. I know that there's been information put out where people don't believe in a path and you could just do what you want to do. No order, right? No order. Just do what you want to do and learn a bunch of spells. We got to move past that. It's time to go to the next level, family. And what I want you guys to know is that in order to make it to the next level on wherever you're trying to go spiritually, you're going to have to pick a side in a path, right? And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm not trying to pull you into nothing. I'm telling you this so you can start on a journey towards something, right? I talked to too many people in consultations throughout the years of people who just learning spells, and they think that's what spirituality is about. Well, I know a bunch of spells and a couple rituals, and I do my altar work. That's great, right? That's a part of it. Once again, you need something that's going to fortify you and chisel away at your ego as you move forward. And you're going to need to follow certain principles. There's many principles you can follow. In my new book, The Way of Radiance, I talk about the different principles that you guys can follow, the different spiritual paths that have incredible principles. It's a lot of them, but I gave the few that I thought was the best, right? And you can really follow these things that can lead you on a path, right, of discovery, right? You want to go on this path of discovering self, right? So you can have a self-realization and then have nirvana, right? and go on a path of enlightenment. This is what you want as a spiritual person. So once again, family, you're going to need to find a path of spirituality, right? Because you need to focus on something that's going to help you evolve, all right? So don't be afraid to pick a side, right? I don't care what people saying out there. I'm not trying to put you to a specific side. Y'all know, if anybody ever told you the truth, Brother Yosef always told you the truth. The left-hand path and the right-hand path is a path to enlightenment, right? I told you guys that, right? I did a video called How to Evolve in the Left-Hand Path. Nobody was mad at me about that. Then I did a video How to Evolve in the Right-Hand Path, and people got mad at me about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not here to make you pick a side. I'm just telling you the way that I'm going. And whatever way you go, make sure you got a teacher that's giving you the principles you can use to evolve, so you can have a road to walk on, family. These things are very important, okay? So let's first talk about yoga, okay? Yoga is something that's very popular. It's misunderstood in some sense, right? But at the same time, I understand a lot of philosophy and a lot of information on yoga. So yoga, in case you don't know, it simply means union, right? And this union takes you on a path of self-realization, right? For what? So yoga is a path of union. It means union, right? And it takes you on a path of self-realization to become aware of the divine. So you can merge with the divine, family. So you go through a bunch of practices and rituals and exercises in yoga, right? So you could become in unison with the divine through mind, body, and spirit, all right? Now, in my opinion, there's many types of yoga that you can practice, family. And I don't even have to name them all. There's too many, right? A lot of people know different types of yogas. Yoga also is I call them full body mudras as well. But at the same time, yoga can also help you develop the body of God, right? So you will divinely have a body of God, right? And with that divinity comes powers, right? There's yogis that have developed powers from doing yoga for so long, right? Opening those meridians and those energy centers in the body have allowed them to develop spiritual powers of some sort, okay? You can see this on a character in Dasalam. Dasalam is Street Fighter. Dasalam is without a shadow of a doubt a yogi, right? He's definitely a person that has practiced yoga, right? And he's created a fighting style through using yoga. But actually, if you look at Dasalam, he actually represents the Agori path, which is the dark left-hand path of yoga. Or excuse me, I'll just say the dark left-hand path of the divine. And then the light part of the divine, right? He has both sides, right? And he has Yuga fire. He shoots out fire. He levitates. He's also telepathic. You can see all this in the storyline, right? He's a good example of what a yogi can develop, right, into, like these superpowers from doing yoga. So if you practice the right type of yoga, right? Because I want to get to Tantra, because I really want you guys to understand that yoga is something that a lot of people understand. So I'm going to get to the good stuff in yoga so we can get an understanding about it, right? If you practice the right type of yoga, you can evolve, family. You can evolve. I recommend people starting out with a basic form of yoga, learning the stretches and stuff like that. And then if it's a certain type of yoga, I recommend people practicing. It's a yoga called Kriya Yoga. Kriya, Kriya Yoga. That yoga mixed with pranayama can be extremely uplifting and extremely powerful for evolution, right? There's a teacher that utilized Kriya Yoga and pranayama, and he actually he was so powerful and so evolved until when he was ready to go, he just left his body, right? And that's a teacher named Yogananda, right? Yogananda was a very powerful teacher that did practice Kriya Yoga and also pranayama, and through breathing techniques, when he was ready to just leave his body, he left his body, and like for 20 days or something like that, his body didn't even decay, right? He was just in this higher state of being, right? So you guys can look him up. Very powerful teacher. But if you're going to go on a path of yoga, family, the type of yoga I recommend, if you can find a teacher on it, is a yoga called Kriya Yoga, and you should mix that with pranayama. Now, pranayama is a technique I do practice myself, and I actually talk about that in my book, and I give you guys a technique you can use in that book with that practice, okay? That can really help you go towards evolution and help you evolve, okay? So that's what yoga is. Yoga is union, creating a union with the divine through exercises and practices, right? And of course, because yoga is so split up, yoga could be a lot more as well to certain people. Because remember, there's always an oral tradition that's not written in books that you have to go to the yogi, the master teacher himself, and learn, family, okay? Learn. This is very important for you guys to understand, all right? Now, let's get to the good stuff. This is what a lot of you guys really watching this video for, right? Tantra, right? Tantra. Let's talk about Tantra, right? When most people talk about Tantra, it is usually only one thing that pops up, and y'all know what I'm talking about, right? People think of tantric sex, right? Which is nothing but a piece or a very small part of Tantra, right? Tantra is so expansive, y'all. I could do a whole nother video on Tantra alone, right? It's a very powerful spiritual system. So some people even say yoga came out of Tantra, right? It's a debate between that. I personally would say Tantra's older, but at the end of the day, Tantra is a lot more than what you think it is, right? People who practice Tantra, right? So when we think of Tantra, we think of sex, right? You know, the Kama Sutra and all this type of stuff. You know, people doing these sexual positions to bring forth some type of spiritual enlightenment. Something that people never really understood before, right? They never really understood this stuff before, right? So what does Tantra mean? Tantra means to weave. Very interesting. Tantra is a science that means to weave, right? We just did a video last week talking about, or a week and a half ago, talking about weaving time. I was giving y'all, to a degree, a Tantra practice, okay? So weaving time is very powerful. Very, very powerful, family, all right? So I want you guys to understand that. That's very important. So when you think of Tantra, people automatically start thinking of sex. No. Tantra means to weave. But what does it mean to weave especially? It means to weave the energy through the scriptures. That's really what it's trying to say on a deeper level, Tantra, right? Because there's tantric scriptures that you can receive energy from, okay? Tantric scriptures you can receive energy from, right? All these things are very important to understand, right? And the Tantra tradition, they believe in being liberated, right, in this life. They don't believe in waiting. They're saying, hey, you can be liberated in this life. So Tantra is a lot about taking your life and weaving it with spirituality. So what I'm really saying, family, is Tantra could be used in any type of household. It can be weaved with everything, right? We going somewhere with this. I want you guys to really understand what I'm trying to say, right? Tantra is very powerful because when you look at Tantra, you're really talking about energy, right? You're talking about having sex with everything. See, but you think sex has to do with penis and vagina. No, sex is an energy, and it's a spiritual force. Sex is a spiritual force that can be used, and this is the idea of the energy they're using in Tantra. Okay. There's a very powerful documentary. I brought this up many times before, especially in my Patreon. There's a documentary you guys should go watch on. It's called Wild Wild Country, and this documentary talks about a very famous guru called, I forgot his name, Bhagwan, I think his name was. Very famous guru. He had the OSHA organization, right? His stuff is still up. You guys can go watch his stuff on YouTube. OSHA. OSHA, I believe. No, Osho, OSHO. Right? And he wasn't your typical guru. The guy was extremely wise, but the spiritual practice that he practiced was Tantra. So in his organization, the people were very sexually liberated, right? They had a community. They had a whole community, and he was one of the few gurus. In the documentary, they talk about him buying 900 acres of land and starting a whole community. I mean, the thing now, his according to the story, his right hand person was doing some things that shouldn't have been done. But at the end of the day, I want to bring up the fact that this man wasn't what you would see as a usual guru. Because of the tantric practices and his beliefs and his philosophies, he just did things differently. He used to wear diamond watches on his hand. This is an Indian guru. I love listening to him to this day. He's very wise, but he was more of a, well, I'm not going to say that. He used to wear diamond watches. He used to ride in Rolls Royces. He had about 10, 11 Rolls Royces. He was wealthy, right? And he didn't have no problem showing it. He had custom clothes. He had no problem showing his wealth. But when it came for spirituality, he was balanced in that, right? He believed in living life now, getting the best and the greatest of life right now. He believed in being liberated in every which way you want to right now, right? And that is, to a degree, some of the ideas of the tantric way. Not to be unruly with it. See? It's not about being unruly with it and doing what you want to do. Like some people want to do in the spiritual community. Hey, just go do what you want to do. And just do a couple rituals and you're fine. No. It's not about being unruly. It's about understanding the path that you're on. And then being liberated by it. You see what I'm saying? So Tantra is so deep. It's so deep because when you get into Tantra, you're learning about the male and female principles. Tantra destroys the idea that homosexual, lesbian people can't be spiritual. Because there are tons of tantric teachers that are homosexual and lesbian. Because it's about energy. If they can understand the energy of them dealing with somebody, then they know what they have to do to balance out their energy on a continuous basis. Because it's about gaining enough energy, which is information, making your aura bigger, right? Taking memory with you and getting off the planet. Once again, it's about taking in energy, which is information, making your aura bigger, right? And taking your memory with you when you die. That's what this thing is all about, right? And then Tantra could teach you those practices. It could teach you what you need to understand about energy so you can take the energy with you, everything you need to take with you when you pass away and move forward, right? Now, in my Buddha lecture, I'm going to show you guys a way to actually take in some energy with some tantric practices, right? I'm going to show you guys that. Very, very powerful, very, very, very good to understand, right? So Tantra on another level is also the union of opposites. Okay, so you have the opposites that come together in unison, right? That's what Tantra is, right? It's the opposites, knowing how to bring the opposites together as well. So yes, homosexual and lesbian people can benefit from Tantra, right? Because they can know how to utilize each force, whether it's male or female forces. And believe it or not, there are Indian stories, especially the one with I think it was Kali, that I think Brother Bobby Hemmett talked about it a long time ago, that just knew that this being knew it had to take on all the feminine energy it could so it can evolve and go to the next level, right? Or in some cases, it could take on all the masculine energy it can and evolve and go to the next level. Because when you start looking at sex past emotional pleasure or physical pleasure, it becomes something else. Everything around you is constantly having sex all day. The universe is constantly having sex. That's why it never stops moving. Right? As above, so below. As within, so without. So when people are having sex, they're just copying what the universe is already doing. Right? And bringing in new sons and new forms of darkness, which is sons and daughters. Right? So at the end of the day, that's what Tantra is about. The union of opposites, knowing how to fuse them together. Right? Knowing how to fuse opposites together when you really break down Tantra. So a Tantra teacher or a Tantra practitioner knows the power of energy, right? They can touch something and put energy into it, right? They can become healers. Tantra people. There's no limit to what a Tantra person could do because they understand energy. So anybody watching this video, that want to go down a path of really understanding energy, I kind of already started you on that path. The first thing you want to do is you want to start studying Mount Chia, understanding the elements, the energy, and then you can start going towards Tantra. That's actually what I did. I studied fusion of the 5 elements. I studied male and female principles, energy, yin and yang, negative, positive. Then I started getting into Tantra and understood it, and I thought it was so deep, right? So Tantra has a bad rap on it, right? It has a really bad rap on it because everybody's looking at this thing as something sexual, and that's a very small part of it, right? I remember when I introduced my wife into Tantra, she's like, man, is this what spirituality is all about? No, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that, family. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, don't get into Tantra just to learn things so you can snatch souls out here. You in the bedroom snatching souls because you learning Tantra and out here snatching souls. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it's for. You're being egotistical when you do that. It's about energy, right? It's about energy, right? And it's very important to understand, right? So a practitioner of Tantra can have sex with anything. Once again, sex is not physical pleasure. Sex is energy. So it can fuse its energy with anything. That's really what I'm trying to tell you. When you have sex, you got 2 people that fuse together. That's why there's a cord created. You see where I'm going? What is that cord? That is the evidence of the fusion, right? Some of those cords could be negative. Some of those cords could be positive, depending on who you slept with. But a Tantra practitioner can have sex with anything. It can fuse its own energy with anything it wants, and now it can communicate with a tree. It can communicate with a spoon. It can communicate with a crystal. The Tantra practitioners, because they know how to have sex with it. They know how to fuse with it, their consciousness with it, and communicate with it. That's what Tantra's about. It's deeper than sex, family. Sex is a very small part of, or tantric sex is a very small part of Tantra, right? And I'm really just still scratching the surface here, family. It goes a lot deeper. So I wanted to get in here and explain it to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have better understanding now on what yoga is and what Tantra really is. So you guys can go studying and go down a path and find yourself a path so you can do better spiritually. All right? Once again, this is Brother Yosef. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, the Buddha Force lecture, the link will be below. Thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace and love, family.